السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. Welcome to Tafsir Ibn Kathir, and with verse number 37 from Surah Aal-Emraan. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. فتقبلها ربها بقبول حسن وأنبتها نباتا حسنا وكفلها زكريا كلما دخل عليها زكريا المحراب وجد عندها رزقا قال يا مريم أنى لك هذا قالت هو من عند الله إن الله يرزق من يشاء بغير حساب. So her Lord accepted her with good acceptance and caused her to grow in a good manner and put her in the care of Zachariah. Every time Zachariah entered upon her in the prayer chamber, he found with her provision. He said, O Mary, from where is this coming to you? She said, it is from Allah. Indeed, Allah provides for whom He wills without account. After Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted the invocation of the mother of Mary, she gave birth, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted that from her mother, and she was raised in the most perfect way. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had perfected her. وَكَفَّلَهَا زَكَرِيَّا. And Zachariah, one of the prophets of Allah, peace be upon him, had been taking care of her because she was an orphan. Ibn Kathir rahimahullah, he said that it was said that Zachariah alayhi salam was the uncle of Maryam. وكفلها زكريا كلما دخل عليها زكريا المحراب وجد عندها رزقا. That every time Prophet Zachariah would enter upon her in the prayer chamber, he found with her provision. And this is a miracle that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala aided Mary, peace be upon her, with it. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, he said in the explanation of this, that the fruit that usually comes out in the summertime would be present for her during the winter, and the opposite. So this is something that shows the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the acceptance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to Mary, and how she was raised in such a way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose her. It also shows, as some of the scholars mentioned, there is a strong relationship between prayers and provisions. And this is something that is mentioned over and over in the Quran. See, Zachariah alayhi salam, he would enter the prayer chamber that she is secluded to make worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would provide for her. And this is something similar would happen in some verses to come, that the acceptance of the dua of Prophet Zachariah alayhi salam, as it will come, was given to him when he was standing in the prayer. It shows the importance of prayers. It's the most important action in one's life. And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, كُلَّمَا دَخَلَ عَلَيْهَا زَكَرِيَّا الْمِحْرَابَ وَجَدَ عِنْدَهَا رِزْقًا. Every time he would go to her in the prayer chamber, he would find provisions. And when he asked her, where is this from? She said, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A miracle from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provides from whomever He wills without any limits. It's a fact. And when Zachariah alayhi salam, he heard this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, هُنَالِكَ دَعَى زَكَرِيَّا رَبَّهُ قَالَ رَبِّ هَبْ لِي مِن لَّدُنكَ ذُرِّيَّةً طَيِّبَةً إِنَّكَ سَمِيعُ الدُّعَاءِ. At that, Zachariah called upon his Lord, saying, my Lord, grant me from yourself a good offspring. Indeed, you are the hearer of supplication. As we heard, when Zachariah alayhi salam, he saw what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had bestowed on Mary with the provisions, he took a lesson from that he turned to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the supplication. that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would provide for him a good offspring. It was said that he was old in age and that his wife was barren. She cannot have children. But when he saw the miracle in the life of Mary alayhi salam, he turned to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sincerely and invoked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant him a good offspring. In this verse, it shows the virtues of Prophet Zakaria alayhi salam, and that a Muslim should learn and take lessons when he sees things around him. Because Zakaria alayhi salam, when he saw what happened to Mary, he made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, since he is the provider, to provide for him, although the means are not present in the life of Zakaria. He's old in age, his wife is barren, cannot have children, and he still turned to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone to give him a good offspring. We learn from this that we need to continuously make supplications and dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala while putting the trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He would accept our dua. Some people, when they are terminally sick, for example, they give up with matters of dua. They think that their dua won't be accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. People should turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sincerely. They should invoke Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because He is the one that is capable of all things, and He is the hearer of the supplications. He is the one that accepts the supplications. هنالك دعا زكريا ربه قال ربي هب لي من لدنك ذرية طيبة إنك سميع الدعاء. And also using in our supplications the names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One of the etiquettes, the manners of making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is to make the dua, the supplication, using some of the names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as Zakaria alayhi salam did. He said, "O Allah, give me, habli, min ladunka dhurriyatan tayyibah. Give me from yourself, grant me from yourself a good offspring. Indeed, you are the hearer of supplications." He made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He is the hearer of the supplications, so as a result, grant me a good offspring. It shows also that having a good offspring, it's something that the believers would like to have. It's one of the desires of this world, but especially if they are righteous, if they are obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it's something that starts before having the offspring. One of the intentions to get married is to have offsprings that are obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One of the intentions of having children is to raise them as true Muslims, to be obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The parents will get the rewards of raising their children to be obedient servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it starts from way before having children, is to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to have the strong intention and to fulfill the wish of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that he will be proud of the Muslims in the day of resurrection when they are many in numbers, but with quality, with good faith and submissiveness to the orders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We continue inshallah ta'ala of what happened as a result with the dua of Zakaria alayhi salam to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant him a good offspring. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.